We Dig Community tells the stories of the people and organizations behind Community Bucket's service-made social mission. We hope you enjoyed this episode and, of course, subscribe to listen to future shows and stay part of the community. Okay, we're live. Hello, Linde.
Awesome.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Where in the world are you today, Linde? Where are you?
I'm in the wonderful city of Atlanta in my home here in East Point, which is South Atlanta.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. Well,
right by the airport.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, and I'm really excited to talk to you today. Why don't you start out, Linde? Just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do. We'll get into Community Bucket stuff in a little bit, but more just the non-Community Bucket. Linde, what do you do professionally, for fun, all that?
Sure. Yeah. So I am a somewhat new Atlanta transplant. I moved here at the end of 2018 to start my first ever full-time job at the CDC. So when I moved here, I came from St. Louis, Missouri, where I did my graduate and undergraduate education. And I've been at CDC now the whole time, so almost 3 years. And I work on policy stuff, so working with congressional affairs and legislation and budget things and all that kind of the behind the scenes that keeps the work going in our division of laboratory sciences. So it's a little bit of a sciencey area, and I get to help translate it for the public and for people who are really invested in that work. And in my free time, I enjoy gardening, being outside, going on hikes. I really love attending craft fairs and supporting local makers. My fiance and I have a dog, so we like to take her out and go to the dog park and lots of walks. So a lot of outdoorsy things. We're very much do-it-yourselfers, so we have a lot of home projects and things like that. And we also climb. I climb over at Climb the Overlook, which is a new climbing gym off of the West End Beltline area. So we do some climbing, and also Stone Summit, which is another great climbing gym in Atlanta that I've been to a handful of times. And things to just try to stay active and creative. I do a lot of making. I have a little pottery studio in my basement, and
that's so cool.
Yeah, so I just started up with that. It was a quarantine project, I suppose. I was taking some classes and throwing beforehand, and then I just decided to move it into a little home hobby. So that's been a lot of fun for me since I spend all of my time at home now, teleworking and things like that. So it's good to get outside and good to be around people when I can now. But yeah.
Nice. That's a lot of hobbies.
A lot of hobbies.
Free and fun time.
Yes. I like to pack it in.
Yeah. And how has it been working at the CDC through this pandemic? Have you...
It's been wild. Yeah, it's been very crazy because CDC has an emergency operation, function. And so a lot of people get to leave their day jobs and volunteer to help out with responses. So, before COVID, there was Ebola and Zika, and the lung vaping injury was right before COVID. That was a big one that we were doing. And so it's kind of cool because we have the chance to just switch over and immediately have a different job for a couple months at a time. And that's been a lot of fun and a really good experience. So it's a great time to be at CDC, but also not a great time because of how crazy it is. And it's obviously not necessarily something we would ever want to have to work on, but it's been a good opportunity.
Right. So tell us a little bit, your just kind of how you got involved with Community Bucket, and you're obviously still newer to Atlanta. So when you got involved, how you found it, and a little bit about how that's been for you.
Yeah. So when I first moved here, I came here with nobody. I didn't have family in the area or friends in the area. I really moved in, and I'd only been to the city once before just to look for apartments. And so I I'm like somewhat of an introvert, extrovert. I really enjoy being around people. I also enjoy being home, but I really needed to like plug in somewhere, and I didn't quite know where to start. But back in St. Louis, I was pretty invested in, I liked doing like community garden work, and I liked volunteering. And in my undergrad years at college, I was part of a service and like faith learning community. And so there was always like a service element to my college years, and I kind of missed that. And so I Googled like service events for young adults, not even thinking there was like something out there that would even really meet that need. And Community Bucket popped up, and I was like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Like something that will get me into new areas of the city and like see new places, and also plug into nonprofits and meet other people who also like to do that kind of stuff. So it was perfect for me. And I went to, I can't remember what my first event was, but I do want to say it was a community garden event over in like somewhere in a West End neighborhood. I can't recall the name of it. You guys might be able to, but it was a really great time, and there was a social element after, and I just thought it was a blast. So I plugged in pretty fast to that out of just desperation for social interaction, and that is pretty much it for me. That was enough.
It might have been Historic West Side Gardens, perhaps.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're great. We love them.
Oh yeah.
I also love. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, I felt like they were well organized, and I felt like we did a lot of work, which I also appreciated, like going somewhere and really being put to work. And it felt like a good accomplishment that we were really helping them fulfill a need that they had. And that was nice, because sometimes I think service can feel a little like, oh, I don't know where you want to, what we're going to have you do, but thanks for being here. And the Community Bucket events have always been very like well coordinated, which is nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that you feel that way. We hope that that's something that's happening, but of course you're a part of, making that happen as well, because part of the host team, which we'll get to. But maybe you could tell us, I know that like the first event, what's been your favorite event so far?
Oh man. That is so hard. I really enjoyed them all. I do think one that was different for me, but was really a good experience, was the Free Bikes for Kids event. I had never worked on bikes or anything like that before, but I just thought that was a lot of fun. It was really immediately gratifying, because these bikes like could be cleaned up and pretty easily maintained. And then you just know that they go right out the door, like in a week, to anyone who needed a bike, a lot of kids. And the space was also in like an interesting warehousey like area that I had never been before. And I thought that was really cool. And we hung out at that space after. I thought that was a great event. I don't know if this counts as a Community Bucket event, but the Oktoberfest, I think that's a fundraiser, but that one was a ton of fun as well. I really enjoyed that. We worked with, I think, Bell's Brewery. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a lot there, but yes.
Yeah, it was really a good time. And then I know you said just one favorite, but I was thinking of another one.
Okay, we like hearing it.
Go on.
I was going to say, what, as far as, because you say gardening, right? Like you're obviously very drawn to that. And a lot of our projects happen to be with community gardens. Maybe like what's one of your favorite, say, urban farms or garden projects that you've done?
Okay. I'm blanking on the name of it, and I was trying to think of it before this. But it is by the Beltline off of like Sylvan Road, and it's a huge garden.
Aluma Farms?
Aluma Farms. I really like them. I think they're really great. I also like Historic West Side Gardens. They seemed really well organized. Oh, the other one, Concrete Jungle, is a great one. Is that the same one too, where the site did that's my favorite Community Bucket event of all, is the yoga one.
Yoga on Urban Sprouts.
Urban Sprouts. That was the best. We did yoga in the morning before the service, and it was like a beautiful day. And that, like, the people who run that farm were really great, and they just like the coolest space. I loved everything about them.
It sounds like you have like a few events, which is exciting for us, exciting for Jesse, I'm sure. And maybe you've kind of like already shed light on this, but I figured I should ask, well, why do you keep coming back then? Like, why do you keep going? Like, what keeps you kind of coming back to be a part of this then?
Well, I mean, I don't think there's anything else like this in the city. The nice thing I think is that for me at least, I wanted to plug into a nonprofit and be like consistently involved somewhere, but I actually found that I really appreciated the opportunity to, jump around and work with a bunch of different groups. And it kind of helped with that commitment thing where like I didn't need to like commit to like a weekly thing with one nonprofit. I could go to one a month and it would be a different place and I would see somewhere new in the city and experience another really cool organization. Also like meeting people and just talking to people while working. I think that's an easy way to have conversation and not feel like forced or awkward or anything like that. And the other thing too was I actually liked the concept of like having a little bit of a ticket, for an event. It helped me like really feel invested in it and knowing that some of it goes to like some of the nonprofits and to Community Bucket. I think that was also a nice little like fundraising element to it that I thought was kind of like a good tie-in for everything. And also, I'm a weekend morning person. So a lot of the events are in the mornings on a weekend. And that's like exactly the time that I want to be outside doing things and talking to people. So that always worked out really well for me.
I feel like we have the perfect bucket volunteer right here with us, Jessie. Like everything she's saying, I'm like, yes, that's perfect. One thing, especially because you said you liked having something like a commitment, etc. Well, maybe you can talk a little bit about your host team role. Obviously, you're part of the host team. We've had some other host team guests on. I can't remember when we're releasing this one. So, but talk like what is your involvement? What have you been doing? Just maybe the past little bit here, and maybe you could tell us what's coming up in May since you've been a little involved in that.
Sure. So I decided after like a year of attending events that it would be nice to do a little bit more with Community Bucket. And fortunately, right when I kind of joined in was sort of when COVID hit. So things changed a little bit over the last year. But I like planning events and organizing and coordinating. And I was, previously involved in a young professionals organization through CDC that I had just like graduated off of and was like, okay, I think I can like do something else now. And I was already involved with Community Bucket. So it made sense to kind of do a little bit more and be a little more invested. And I thought maybe also it would be a great way to connect a little deeper with some other people who are also invested. And so it's been a good experience. It's been a lot of virtual stuff right now, which is sometimes has its ups and downs, but it's been really good overall. And I was also a captain on an event before that. Now I'm blanking on what the event was. But maybe it was the horse farm.
Yeah, love your city.
I can't remember what the name of it was though. But that was a great one. Do you recall?
I know it's in Decatur. I'm blanking. Well, Little Creek.
Little something.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So that was a great one. And
is that where was there like a horse show at the end of the project?
There was, yeah. And we stained like a whole little barn on that project in addition to the pulling ivy off of trees. So there's a lot of really different things to do on that one. So that was a good one. And then coming up in May, this is the first one that I've kind of helped to coordinate a little bit with a couple others. And it'll be a park cleanup. So another different event for Community Bucket at Fraser Row Park in Decatur. And it'll be kind of like a park and pizza event, May 15th. It's a Saturday, 9:30 to 12 with a little social after. we'll do the park cleanup. They have a couple really great projects for planting, which is exciting, and maintaining some of their wood structures at the park and taking off the ivy off the trees, which if you're in Atlanta, the ivy is like a terrible problem everywhere. Mm-hmm. But it's good to maintain it and save the trees from an early fate. So that'll be the activities at the park. And then afterwards, we'll hang out at their brand new pavilion. This park has gotten some great grant money to do some extra special things. And so they built a pavilion, and we'll do pizza and hang out. It'll be outdoors so we can stay, safe and spaced, and still be able to socialize a bit more after. So I think it's going to be a great event. I'm sure the weather will be great. It's going to be a wonderful day. So that is very exciting and coming up.
Great. Fellini's pizza too is my favorite.
Yes. I do like Fellini's pizza.
Yeah.
And it's right there. It's like right next to it, which is super convenient. We'll just bring it right over. It'll be great.
Definitely. Well, we'll link to the registration in the comments here or in the details. But I do want to just say, Linde, thank you so much. As for all of our listeners, the host team in each of our cities is really the backbone of the community. And so much of what we do can't be done without people exactly like you who have found us through various means, but have really contributed in so many ways, both as project captains and helping plan events. So, and just the energy that you bring is very clear from even this conversation. You get really jazzed about farming and volunteering. So we love that and are so appreciative. Just to wrap up, one question we always like to ask everyone on the show is, so we obviously named the podcast We Dig Community because JC and I and the team at Community Bucket, that's something we dig, is community, bringing people together. So what is it that you dig, Linde, besides everything that you've shared, but maybe just one thing?
About Community Bucket?
Not about Community Bucket, just in life.
Oh, because I would say Community Bucket, but I don't know. In life, I dig being a really good neighbor. I think people forget about their neighbors and think, you can exist in your home and not have to worry about people like directly next to you. But I really dig neighborhood vibes and like being a really good like next door neighbor to the people around you.
Love it. Well, thank you. That's a way to end. And exactly what Community Bucket is all about is being a good neighbor and serving our local community. So again, thanks for joining us, Linde, and we will see you soon out at that park.
That's right. Sounds good.
Bye.